Hey guys, welcome out to the range. It is a cold one here in Tennessee today. The funny part about that is yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, I was out here sweating. It is now cold and humid and rather uncomfortable. But because I have a limited window to work on skills out here, whenever I can jump in there on the schedule, I do. Because as you guys have heard me say before, this is a working wedding venue just up on the hill, and I try to get trigger time whenever possible. So when there's an opening in the schedule, I'm on it. But I'm working my pistol standards, and it's been a while since I've done this. I did it yesterday, didn't do very well at all. I didn't run camera yesterday, I just came out here to work because I came out at the end of the day when I was hot and sweaty, dehydrated and tired, because I've been running the extended Overland course. And I know that as fun as rifle is, like the gun in that bag, is just all kinds of fun to run. But the fact of the matter is, bread and butter to the EDC practitioner, or as I like to say to the Tier 1 citizen, is handgun. Handgun is your everything. A while back I took a piece of plastic and I put the pistol standards on one side and rifle standards on the other side, and it allows me to work very efficiently because I can set it down, and on a windy day like today it doesn't blow away like it would with a piece of paper. There's no space on it for scorekeeping, but that's irrelevant because, you know, it's a one-off. It's me and a friend or whatever. So desired time, required time, those are the skill sets. And then for rifle, desired time and required time. Several years ago, I took a class with Chris Costa, and I believe Chris lives in Wyoming. And I remember he came out here and it was only like 40-something degrees like it is today. And he goes, I cannot believe how cold it is here. He goes, I'm from Wyoming. And all of us were like, it's the humidity! Guys, the humidity in Tennessee makes cold colder and hot hotter. If you don't train in inclement weather, you can almost bet that your fight is going to be in inclement weather, so you might as well train in it. I will apologize now for the wind. I have no doubt it's going to be caught by the camera, but it is what it is, and you can tell by the grass blowing that it's blown sideways out here. Alright, torture device is out. First standard, ready position, fire one shot. This is cold, guys. I haven't done a single thing yet today. Oh, and no pun intended, it's cold. Oh, man. Alright, ready position, fire one shot. This is a ready position. This is not a ready position. This is a threat management position. This is a ready position. Either muzzle up or muzzle down. This is not a ready position. This is a your gun is asleep position. This is the dumb position. Don't do this. So it's either muzzle down and you're ready to fight, or here, or even if need be, here. But don't be doing this crap, and don't be doing this crap, because this right here, this is a cop thing. When I was a police officer, this was drilled into us as a threat management position. If I have to draw, I immediately go, turn away from me, do it now! And I'm ready right here. I'm managing the threat. But this is not a ready position. We're off to a bad start. I didn't even see my sights. That nicked his left ear. Oh man, it's gonna be a long day. That's 1 second. Jeepers. the head, but it's high. I would prefer to have central. Left ear. By the way, we're at 7 yards. Funny, yesterday I was hitting low, today I'm hitting high. 0.97. Still jinking that trigger. Wow, man, my hands are cold. Woo! Someone's gonna go, why aren't you wearing your gloves? Well, I typically wear gloves because of sun, but I have to practice for reality, and this is how I dress in the wintertime. This is totally normal for me. This is every day and even sometimes church. So I have to practice for this. Better. 0.90. Woo! That bounced back. 0.93. Much better. 105. Man, did you see that? See what just happened? My finger didn't even make it into the trigger. The fingernail hung up on the edge of the trigger guard. .99. I know I've said this before, but I also know that there are like a bazillion new subscribers to the channel, and having had LASIK surgery, my close-up vision is pretty bad. I need reading glasses for close-up vision, and close-up includes at arm's length. Like, I can read text messages and stuff, you know, like I can look at my phone and I can tell that I can see the names of all the icons on the screen, but I can't read like ingredients on packages and things like that. Like this granola bar right here, but the oats, cane sugar, tapioca, right? So I'm having to work to read the ingredients on this granola bar, but I'm okay with that because I knew that what I was going to get with LASIK was the ability to see at a distance. Those trees at a distance that are roughly 90 yards or so, I can see individual leaves on the trees. Yeah, I know. I heard you thinking that. For those of you that are wondering what it is that I'm saying, I recognize that the world of the Tier 1 citizen is not 90 yards or 900 yards. It's 9 feet. It's 90 feet. I didn't have much option with LASIK. And I was not about to do, I forget what they call it. It's basically where one eye is slaved to, one eye is corrected to close and the other eye is corrected for distance. And supposedly the brain, stop, no. Supposedly the brain fills in the gap. Nopety, nope, no. Okay, I've made the times on this a few times. Yeah, let's move on. There are myriad reasons why I like working with steel. One of those reasons is that in high wind, you don't have to worry about a steel target blowing away. You just come up here, reface it with some paint, and the last few spritzes that you do, invert the can to clear out the straw. And that way you'll get completely every last drop of paint in this can, unlike Rust-Oleum, that the straw will clog after about 4 or 5 uses, and then you're done. And like, it doesn't matter how much paint is left, you're throwing that can away. I know I've already said this, but several months ago I attended the Legacy class with Dave Spalding, Handgun Combatives. It was a 5-day class, and in that class I had multiple malfunctions with this Glock. This is my everyday carry Glock 17. It's a Gen 3. I contoured the frame, did a 360 stippling on it, undercut the trigger guard. I don't do that cut because I don't want to weaken the trigger guard that much. I added little shelves on either side so that my thumbs can rest on it, so that I have something to control the frame from flipping up on me. It's got Proctor Y-notch fiber optic sights. Trust me, fiber optic sights are way tougher than you think they are. And then Doug Presson, the DP right there, Doug Presson did a really nice job on the slide. And people look at this Glock and they're like, dude, that's really cool, because you can tell this gun's been used. But anyways, the gun had been used so much that almost all the internals had fatigued. My extractor had certainly fatigued. I was having a lot of extraction issues, and several of the springs had also just really failed to work properly. So I was having stovepipes. I wasn't having failures to extract because I don't shoot trash through this gun. But I was having stovepipes. I was having the occasional double feed where you end up with something that looks a little bit like, well, not quite that. Double feed here, I'll show you a double feed real quick. A double feed looks like that. And a double feed is typically, well, no, I guess I did. That's right, I did, because I actually did have a couple double feeds. A double feed is where the extractor has skipped off the rim of the casing that you've just fired, and it's trying to get out of the way, and it can't. So you have casing in the chamber. In this case, it's a live round, but you have a casing in the chamber, and the next round has now been trapped, and you can't eject your magazine. You have to forcefully extract the magazine. You have to either retain the magazine by pushing it down into your hand so you can use your pinchers, invert the pistol, rack the gun, bring it back up. That would have been great if I hadn't dropped the mag. Man, I'm so cold. Insert the mag, rack the gun, back on. It's cold! Anyways, I'd had several things that had failed on the gun. Batteries. By the way, guys, I'll do this really quick. You see me insert a magazine and do that to the loaded chamber indicator. Guys, there's no reason to press check. And I'll tell you that I have seen what happens when people spend far too much time fiddling around with their guns. When I watch, when I was doing a video recently of a class, and I was doing the force on force portion, editing the force on force portion, there was a guy in the class who was just all into all this kind of thing, and I watched him fiddling constantly with his handgun. And when it came to the force on force, you could tell he was having a Tourette syndrome moment with his hands, because he was so used to all the insert and da-ba-dee-ba-ba-ba-dee, instead of insert, verify, holster. He found himself doing what he does in training, which is far too many superfluous motions, and it translated forward into the fight. So simplify your motions so that if you ever get in a fight, you're not doing a bunch of steps that are unnecessary. And I have been to training where our handguns were intentionally abused by the instructors by mashing them into mud, and the loaded chamber indicator still worked. So that is absolute worst case scenario, and the loaded chamber indicator was still working. So I will never again listen to anyone ever say, you can't trust it. Yeah, you can trust the loaded chamber indicator, at least on a Glock. I can't speak for any other handgun. Glock, yes. Anyways, yeah, let me finish this out. So what I ended up doing was, that night, I realized what the problem was. The next day, because all my extra springs were in the vehicle, the next day I pulled the springs and whatnot from the gun, and instantly the gun was transformed back to a reliable handgun, because this gun and I have done so many classes together, and this is my everyday carry gun. There's an identical copy of this one that I carry with me, but you can tell the difference between the two. Like, that one's like black and beautiful and shiny, and this one's chewed up. But I love it. All right, ready, position, fire, 4 shots, 2 seconds. Ooh, 195. Heck yeah. It's a good day when you can do that without thinking. Nuh-uh. I can already tell. Guys, don't launch good ammo after bad. If you know you're off, just stop. Should have stopped. I felt that. There's a moment where you punch out a gun in front of you and your trigger finger goes from up top. Because if you can get away with it, put your trigger finger here. And the reason for that is our hands, when we experience a flinch effect, our fingers tend to actually contract tend to consolidate while contracting. So if you're doing this right here, there is a chance that you could end up with your trigger finger getting in the trigger well and accidentally yanking off. So by doing this, when the fingers try to consolidate while contracting, you're hooked over the top, and it's virtually impossible to pull your trigger if your finger's up here. If you don't have big enough hands to, this is a 17. If you don't have big enough hands to get away with this, fine, then index your finger this way on your takedown lever so that when the fingers try to consolidate and contract, you're already on the other side, mostly on the other side of the trigger, meaning close enough to it that you can just skip behind it. Because this, bad idea. With all honesty, that's a flash sight picture. Especially going from dark to light. 2.07. .196. Yeah, I have enough. Through one. Holster, fire one shot, 2 seconds. Oh, wow. Got a handful of shirt on that one. Not cool. Let's fix that. I watch way too many people go to classes and they don't wear their cover garment and they don't even wear their EDC handgun, and then we get ready to head out and eat and they go from their Glock 17 King Dingling Dragon Slayer to their Glock 43. And I think to myself, well, you just threw away a bunch of ammo. Or my personal favorite, a class I went to several years ago where it was a 2-day class, and the first day was like race gun mode. So everyone was wearing like the levitation rigs and all the canted mags and everything, and then these crazy huge handguns with funnels and optics and everything. And the next day was a concealment class, and for the first half of day 2, I watched people go beep and draw for a gun that was no longer there, and then have to go and then draw for the gun that was half as big here than the big one that was here before, and then fumble to get their hand position. And I looked over at my friend and I go, I wonder if they realized that they just threw away 600 rounds yesterday and another 175 this morning just to get up to speed for what they actually carry 7 days a week. Guys, there are trends in this industry that it's like people are offering what I call the roller coaster, the ballistic roller coaster. And when you get onto a roller coaster, you're locked in and they launch you and you're and you get to the end of the roller coaster, and where are you? You're literally exactly where you began. If you're not training properly, it's a ballistic roller coaster, because at the end of that gunfight, you're either dead or you're out of ammo, but you're exactly where you began shooting at a bad guy. Because I see people practicing with one gun and carrying another, or practicing with the ballistic roller mindset, lots around, lots of running around, lots of foolishness instead of skill training. Put the work in. Honking everybody off, taking everybody off. Yeah. 219. Too slow. Going right over the top. 214. 218. I know I'm over on that time, but you know what? I'd rather be getting that hit, which is what I'm getting. 214. 211. 206. 198. All right. Holster. Okay. On target, fire one shot, emergency reload, fire one shot. On target, fire one shot, emergency reload, fire one shot. And on this one, what you can do for that one shot, you can also have the trigger, the slack of the trigger taken all the way out. Because what this is simulating is a moment in time where you fire the weapon to empty, which, that's a bad gunfight. So, on target, fire one shot, emergency reload, fire one shot. No, 3.25, okay. I did this yesterday and I remember going, where'd my time go? If you don't have one of these, a Pact Club Timer 3, man, you gotta get one. They're the tool to have. All right, so on target, slack taken out of the trigger, the buzzer sounds, drop the mag, get your next mag in, and fire one shot, all in 3.25. .50. 390. No excuses, guys. I've not been putting the work in with my handgun. I've been busy making slings. I've been busy doing rifle. Been busy doing some traveling. Been busy living life and working. Been busy in school. You know what's funny is on the reload, I tend to actually shoot more accurately on the reload than if I'm actually like staring at the sights. 355. The reload, see that? And there's no real good fix for this because I'm either going to wear stuff in a bulky setup that causes bulging underneath the shirt that basically telegraphs gun, 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 and support gear, or I'm going to have my mags sewn into the pants as I've shown you guys before. It works great when you've got a short shirt on, but I'm a 2XLT. So I specifically buy shirts that are actually long enough and they cover everything so that when I'm reaching up for things in a store, and I do that all the time because when you're tall, you're the guy who's always like getting asked, "Sir, excuse me, can you?" Absolutely, man, be happy to. And I grab things for people all the time. So I have to have clothing that's long enough to conceal my weapons. And when I've got to get a mag out, I'm consistently going to get this. So I've learned to just pull through it anyways. That's what's slowing me down. .320. Yay! I made one. All right, move on. All right, on target, stovepipe, clear handgun, fire one round. So your stovepipe doesn't really have to be a stovepipe. One of the stovepipe type malfunctions that I have consistently seen has actually been that kind of thing right there. And the stovepipe, all it's really talking about is the fact that you've actually managed to get the casing out, but your ammunition was underpowered, or for whatever reason, if you were riding the slide and you retarded the cycle of the weapon, it didn't go all the way to the rear to eject the casing, and the next round is coming up and in. So that right there, it doesn't always have to be a stovepipe sticking up. That'll pass. That one is, that's 2 seconds. People sometimes ask, why don't you cluster them together by time? Because the reason that you don't is some of the skill sets are more difficult than others. So if you clustered everything by 1 second, 2 seconds, 3.25 and 6 seconds, you would be getting skill sets slightly out of sequence for difficulty. Two, 1, 2. It's those eyes, guys. It's the eyes. I'm having difficulty finding that front sight post. This is what it is. It's my reality. It's what I gotta live with. I went to it with eyes open. Eyes open. It's a tough crowd. I'll be here all week. What's cool with this 181? What's cool with this skill set is, if you have this ingrained, when something like this actually happens, at least in a class, and you clear it really fast, what you hear in your digital ear pro is, wow, that was really fast. Because it's just normal for you to deal with a malfunction that fast. .194, move on. On target, double feed, pull trigger, clear pistol, fire one shot in 6.0. This is the hardest standard, and ironically, it's actually kind of the easiest one for me to do. There are benefits to having huge hands. Alright, I'm going to show you the way I do this one. Some of you may or may not agree with it, but I don't care if you don't. What I do is I take an empty casing and I actually put the empty casing into the chamber of the weapon. And then I take a loaded mag and I slide it in, and now it's locked in. So that mag is not going to fall out. You have to forcefully extract that magazine. What this is simulating, like I told you earlier, you fired a round, the extractor is fatigued, or whatever the case may be. The extractor has now come off the rim of the casing. It has traveled to the rear and has tried to send another round home, but there's still casing in the chamber, and the gun is not going to be, the gun is inoperable. It doesn't matter if you're, it doesn't matter if you've already taken if you've already pulled the trigger. That's irrelevant. For this, you have to go through the procedure of finding out. So it's trigger, tap, invert, rack, and as soon as you rack, watch, you get that tick-tack, and as soon as you get that, you automatically know this is not empty gun, because if it were empty gun, it would have actually locked there. So you automatically know this is not empty gun. You automatically know this is not just a stovepipe. This is something worse. So now it's forceful extraction. The slide goes home. You can push this down into your hand so that your thumb and your index finger are left available for use. Invert the pistol, pull hard to the rear, and hold. And if the extractor is doing its job, that casing will come out. Bring the weapon back up again. Mag in, hard, tug. You'll always see me flick my thumb across the Vickers tactical floor plates, so it's a solid motion. It isn't introducing kablow. It's mag in hard, slide my finger across, invert, rack, back on the gun. And guys, yeah, every once in a while you'll get a casing that jams in the chamber. Whoop-de-doo. So you get your cleaning rod out and you go and you push it out. It's not that big a deal. This one is the technique. Cool. The desired time is 5. The required time is 6, and I got it in 4.46. This is the one where the reload is going to be loose and ugly. Because remember, I was using my fingers just a moment ago to do this. And when I go to get that mag in, I may do this, which means I'm not going to have that perfect, ideal index finger along the front of the mag. So you're going to end up doing this sometimes. Just get it in there. For you to have to do this means you didn't have another option. You couldn't really run away. You couldn't transition to another weapon, and the fight's still on. You got to get the gun up. So this is going to be ugly. It's going to be messy, but you got to do it quickly. And I got it done in 4.46. 4.46 is an eternity, but if you have at least something to work with cover-wise, a vehicle, a chunk of a wall, a parking bollard, a park bench, anything to use for just the briefest of moments to get the gun back up again, use it. All right, let's set it up again. The only part about this time of year that I like is the fact that I can leave my cameras running for an extended period of time and they won't overheat, because the cold keeps these batteries get really hot, and in the cold they actually stay happy. All right, let's do that one more time. .477, and yeah, there's a live round on the ground. Look at that bad boy. Don't feed that to your gun. Bad things will happen. Throw that in the ammo cannon. Sell it to the recycling center. That's what I do. All right, that's it for handgun. I'm going to reset, get the rifle out, and we'll run a training session with the rifle. All right. Let's have some fun. Here's my fun gun, my get-home gun. What I do is I take the receiver and I hook my Tier 1 Citizen 2-point sling to the back of the receiver. Put the upper on. Pull the pins out, put the upper on, pins in, lock it to the rear to make sure it's empty. Sling locks in place. And I'm not doing this in a particular hurry, but you can imagine if you were in a hurry, you could do this pretty quick. And then, gun is live. This is a fighting mag, so it stays in the bag. Chest rig comes out. Chest rig also has fighting mags. They come out. They stay in the bag. And then 1, 2, 3 mags excuse me, get used for training. The reason I leave the 4th one in place is when I'm training, because I'm so remote out here, there's a chance that you could run into any number of critters, both wildlife and human. So I try to make sure that I always stay hot when I'm out here. Because, like, no joke, last week some shady characters came driving up. Hey man, what you doing? Are you hunting? Hey guys, this portion of the property is not open to the public. No man, it's cold. Yeah, that actually happened. All right, let's train. Because I like my steel targets, I use this rubber dummy whenever I'm doing rifle, because you can put a hole in a steel target, lickety split with an 11.3. There's enough velocity in an 11.3 to cause considerable damage to that target. Well, dang it! Now I got a staple loose out here somewhere. No doubt I'm going to find it with my shoe. I like my steel targets, so what I do is put a piece of cardboard on this rubber dummy, because you can't be shooting steel targets with an 11.3. You'll cause considerable damage. Not to mention shooting up close, there's a chance you could catch one. So, cardboard, and then just bend it down, contour it in. Bam! Now you got something to work with. All right, let me explain some stuff to you. When you're running this skill set, because I'm not wearing any support gear on the sides for rifle, because my handgun is down here, my chest rig is up here for the rifle. I don't have any actual mag holders on my belt. I will drop a mag right into my pocket. Blue jean pockets for men, at least for dudes, are deep enough to hold a 30 rounder with room to spare. So I drop one into the pocket, and when you're doing your reloads, you're going to be faster drawing from here than you are from here, because drawing from here requires that you do this to get to it. Drawing from down here means that you can pretty much stay on the gun and get a mag out. So that's the only time that I tell people, you know what, just drop some rounds, just drop some mags in your pockets. Because let's face it, this is a practice for the real deal, for real life. All right, ready position, fire, 1 shot, 1 second. That should be a piece of cake from 10 yards with a rifle with a red dot. RMR 06, 3.25 MOA. Ready positions with rifle. This one's all kinds of crazy popular. I don't care for it. This requires that the rifle comes all the way out and all the way back, and then you come to the rifle. I prefer this right here, because this here, not here, because this is like position sole. Your gun is off. Here, I'm gonna have to clarify the point. When you're talking handgun, like I said earlier, with handgun, this is not a ready position. This is a threat management position. This is a ready position. This is a ready position. But this is threat management. With rifle, it's kind of a different thing, isn't it? Because the very mandate of a rifle is things that have already gotten ugly, combative. The fact that a rifle has now come out means that things are a little bit more wild weasel. I've always said this, if there were actually, when we watch hurricanes and we watch when people who stayed behind have to deal with looting, it takes a couple of days for that stuff to get off the chain, and then the guns just start coming out. But what I'm getting at is it takes a little bit of time. Once this starts coming out, that time has now elapsed. So your ready position is a little bit looser for rifle. People like this one. I don't care for this because it requires that gun comes all the way out and all the way back, because this is about clearing gear. This is also about clearing teammates right in front of you. This right here is way better. It's a way better tool for a ready position than the high port is, because from here I'm immediately on the gun. Whether I'm coming to the gun or whether the gun is coming to me, I'm already on the gun because it's already contacting me. So ready position, fire, 1 shot. Dead center. 0.94. So not only did I make desired time, I made required time. 0.95 was desired time, required time was 1.0. Let's do that again. And let's turn that down. Whew. Well, there I was looking for the perfect shot, and I got a worse shot, and I'm over on my time. A little bit low, still a keeper, 117. I'm going to tell you guys something. 0.95. I'm going to tell you guys something. Several years ago, actually many years ago, because I don't play video games anymore. Many years ago, I was playing Modern Warfare with some friends, and they kept telling me, you need to be shooting faster. And I said, I don't shoot fast, I shoot well. And they said, but this is a video game. I said, no, this is reflex training. And look, I get it. Sometimes a video game is just a video game, I get it. But I tended to treat online gameplay as reflex, hand-eye training. And I am of the mindset that you are aware of where your bullets are going before you start pulling the trigger, which means you gotta look at your sights, in this case, looking at my optic. And that has always been my Achilles heel, if you will. But I would much rather own my rounds than haphazardly launch bullets, hoping that they hit the intended. So that's my 2 cents on the subject matter. Oh, so much better. I put a plug inside this one. I put a plug here because the stock keeps bumping my hearing pro and I was getting popped. 1.0 or 1.02. Got to move faster. I think that's pretty much dead center like before. 111. Dead center. 0.89. .87. Okay, good. Let's move on. Actually, let's tape up first. I know that the camera can't pick everything up, but now you can see from the tape where those hits were. Those are all perfectly respectable hits in the cardiovascular area. Ready, position, fire, 4 shots, 2 seconds. Little bit loose. 1.74. So I had time to spare. Because not only did I make the required time, I made the desired time, but the group is a little bit loose. I prefer to keep my shots on that cardboard. And that cardboard is like roughly, it's roughly 6 by 10. .201. Much better group though. I used to have a war comp on one of these. It was overkill. This is a .625 barrel. So what you get with that barrel is you have a very lightweight, very reactive rifle, but with something as good as a war comp, the front of the gun kept going like this every time that I would shoot rapidly. Because the recoil impulse with a war comp is almost straight back. But because it's such an effective muzzle rise mitigator, instead of getting this, I was getting this every time. And I came out here one day and ran the barrels and I just started laughing and I thought, man, that's really effective. But it's too effective for a lightweight gun. That's respectable. 2 on the nose, okay? 2 seconds on the nose. Every single shot is dead center. You see the difference between ka 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 or kang 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 kang. 2 seconds on the nose. Good. Let's do that again. I didn't reset my trigger. Man, I'm having a day. Guys, it's cold out here. Whoa, what's that? Yeah, pretty much center. 198. All right, move on. Okay, next standard is hanging, fire 1 shot in 2 seconds. Here is the teaching point that goes with this. Because remember, guys, these standards have teaching points that go with them. So you can hand this to someone and they could totally master every one of the standards, but if they don't understand the why behind it, then all they're really doing is launching rounds and doing the ballistic roller coaster. All right, hanging, fire 1 shot in 2 seconds means this. It doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean this. It means this. Or that. Which is a storage position. When I do this with people, I say to them, lock that sling in. So the weapon is brought in and they tighten the sling. Weapon's locked in, right? Either here or here, because this is hanging. This is, I'm retaining the gun to my body, it's hanging. The reason this matters, and the reason my sling stands out for this, the bungee that I sew into my slings keeps your weapon in a hanging storage position, but the instant you need it, the weapon comes immediately up. Without having to bring it up in about here is where most people have to grab the little dongle and go zip and create the room that they need to get on the gun. And I have consistently seen people for standards like this, the weapon is locked in tight, and beep, and the person goes to bring it up and they hang up about right here because that sling has been locked in tight. They either just they either just like really man up and crank through it, which leaves you in a very bad shooting position because there's no give in most slings, or they eat a lot of time trying to reach for that dongle and they slip off the dongle constantly or off the slider. That's why this is a big deal when it comes to carrying and fighting with weapons. So hanging, fire one shot in 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna hang it about, usually I put my gun about here so that when I'm walking, I'm not doing this, because I tend to wear my gun when I'm out hiking, and I'm also, when I'm working, I tend to have it here, or I practice storing it to the back, which is grab the stock, push out, and rotate down. So it's out, rotation, and then set it, and the sling pulls it in for you. Guys, the bungee is a big deal. And those of you who have these slings go, oh man. In fact, one guy said to me, your sling is so good that I have now taken 3 slings, which I'm going to respect those companies and not say their name, but 3 very high-end name brand slings that are way more in price than my sling. The guy said, all 3 of those slings are now sitting in my for sale bin. That is humbling, because it means that you guys are recognizing quality when you see it. Okay, so storage, hanging. Oh, and this also means not like this, but it's this. It's this moment in time where something happens and the gun has to come up. So safety's on, weapons hanging. Actually, well, I guess my support hand. Yeah, that's true. My support hand tends to be here because I like to control the front of the gun when I'm moving around with it. So yeah, this is normal for me. Oh, I just realized something. I've never shown you guys this, have I? There's a South African named Henk Iverson. I've never trained with him. My friend Sean Utley trained with him many years ago, and he picked this up from Henk. I picked this up from Sean. This, as you saw, I totally forgot to show this to you guys. As you saw, is an immediate action technique. Right here, even with a low mount, even with an RMR on a low mount, I can still see my optic. In fact, if I squint off my right eye, which is my support side, I can only see this little portion of my hand. I have a clean field of view. But what this allows me to do is, from the casual walking around control position, because this really truly is the way I walk around with my rifle, because I don't want it doing this. When you're wearing plates or a chest rig, your rifle's going to go bap bap bap. So I tend to just sort of rest my hand here on my rifle, and at a moment's notice, you can, as you saw, immediately bring it up and start shooting with it. Even with it canted at this range is irrelevant. This only matters when you start getting really far out, because 12 and 6 are no longer 12 and 6. Now this is actually 2 and 7. So this is not all that crucial, as evidence here. I'll show you. As evidenced by the fact that that shot fired dead center. 10 yards right there. Oh, what was the time on that? 185. Yeah, that was 185. So the desired is 160. The required is 2.0. I did it in 185. So respectable. Hanging, fire, one shot. Yeah, same place. Well, it's first shot, second shot. They're right beside one another. That was 139. That was 139 because I was mentally already dialed into what it was that I was doing. Okay, this time I'm not even going to touch the gun. I'm going to be in, tell you what, we'll even put it there. We'll even put it in like flat out storage mode. Just off to the left, still on the cardboard, 175. Actually, you know what? I tend to stand a lot like John Wayne because I grew up watching John Wayne. He does a lot of this. Or when I was a cop, I actually used to stand like this, which is a John Wayne thing, and I would have my hand right on my handgun. I creeped a lot of people out doing that, but honestly, it was very comfortable. So I guess it's kind of like that. There we go. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, bruh. Dead center, 171. Cool. All right, move on. On target, empty chamber, tap rack bang. On target. Oh, that worked out well. One in the chamber. Good. Okay. Cool. All right. On target. Oh, I'm sorry. On target, empty chamber. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, on target, empty chamber, tap rack bang. Here I was getting all excited that I thought I had everything set up just perfect. So we'll put a couple in there just for fun. All right, on target, empty chamber, tap rack bang, 2.40. I ain't shooting in the rain, y'all. It's too cold for that. I ain't shooting in the rain. You better not. You better not. I'm not screaming at God. I'm screaming at the clouds. You don't scream at God. All right. On target, empty chamber, tap rack bang. So that means that. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Center. Center. 222. 2.40. Desired was 220. I'm sorry. Yeah, desired was 220. Required is 2.40, and I got it in 222. I was going to tell you something. What was I going to tell you? Forgot what I was going to. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Getting the BCM charging handles. Oh man, I'm telling you, I love that because you saw I was able to reach up with my support hand and run the bolt the way it's supposed to be run. Because for me, for years, it was always shooting hand would have to run the bolt from this side, or I'd have to reach over like this and run it. And a couple of times, I popped myself in the chin and in the lip, so that ain't cool. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. 2.14, cool. Let's do that. You know what? Let's do it one more time. So 2.14. So I made the desired time on that, and it's in there. Actually, let's tape up first. After about 8 or 9 holes, you really should tape up. I wanted to show you guys something real quick before I tape this up. For me to hit here, I'm aiming roughly around there with a flash sight picture. That's the offset of. This is what my bullet sees, and this is what I'm seeing. So actually it's about that much. So what is that, 2 inches roughly? So I've got an offset. Actually, yeah, there you go. I've got an offset. It's not horrible because I've seen other weapons that have horrendous offsets, like the Scar or the or some of the B&Ts. Just they're really tall weapons, and they're designed to be comfortable to shoot, but their offsets are really bad. So you have to remember your offsets when you're inside of your zero, and I'm at 10 yards here. So remember, aim high for your, because the cardiac, what I'm after is the heart and the pericardium, which is about the size of a fist, turned kind of like that, and that's what I'm after right there. I used to do this on steel, and I just kind of dealt with the consequences of it. And what I started finding was when I got, because I used to consistently shoot 7.5, 8-inch variants, 9.25. You start getting up into the 11-inch variants like this one, or basically you can safely shoot steel with a 10.3. Once you get past 10.3, things start getting interesting, and you run the risk of damaging that plate and or spitting rounds back at yourself. And what it ends up causing is a hiccup effect where you're finding yourself kind of wincing preparing, because I've been hit a bunch of times. In fact, I've been hit so bad I've had to pick bullet fragments out of my body with a knife, or they'll melt right into my shirt, or you know, they'll go in your lip. Or one of them around here, I've got a little red spot. One of them actually went in, and I didn't even realize it because I'd been peppered by bigger ones. One of them actually went in there, and it became infected. And when I finally expressed it out by squeezing, and I was kind of like rolling it in my hand, because something felt really weird about that little seed, that little capsule that came out, and I started rolling it, and there was a teeny tiny little piece of copper jacket that had become infected over several days in my face, which is why these are true ballistic glasses. In fact, these are brand new. I need to take the Smith & Wesson off of these. But yeah, I just got these out like 3 days ago. But anyways, so that's why I went to the rubber dummies, because it allowed me the freedom to just train naturally and not worry about the consequences of bullets, high velocity rounds hitting steel and spitting back at me. Ooh, that's hairy. Alright, here's the emergency reload one. On target, fire one shot, emergency reload, fire one shot. Empty mag, one round in the chamber. For the sake of this drill, this mag in here, because you'll never make your time with a chest rig. It's darn near impossible to be on the gun, fire one round, and then get out, make enough room to get to your stuff. People will tell you, this actually is where my slings come in handy. People will tell you to swim out of your sling for this particular one, and that's because they're dealing with a sling that has no give. This has a lot of give. So stay in the sling. Guys, stay in the sling. This is weapon retention. Stay in the sling. If you have to release this gun to do something, it's better to have the gun here than to have the gun here. Because here, someone tugs or this weapon gets hung up, and it's a matter of your head going down, you lose hearing pro, hat, eyeglasses, and weapon. You're out. Stay in your sling. On target, fire one shot, emergency reload, fire one shot inside of 325. Oh! Nah. The mag falls so deeply in there, it's really hard to get it out. Just like with handgun mags, back here it's bottom of the mag and it's a yank up. Well, same with this, it's bottom of the mag and it's yank up to get enough of the mag out, and then it's mag out. Because there is lip balm, lighter, extra flashlight, knife. So this is a magazine that's been haphazardly tossed into a pocket as my emergency reload. So it's slap it, yank it up enough to get it, and then pull, and the remaining items will slough down and fall back into the pocket. Yep, it's in there. Yep, it's in there. Reset! And now there's one in the chamber, so now it's empty mag, and it's grab, pull, replace, slide off, store. EPC closed. And that was 3.52, so it needs to be 325. This standard is a booger because it's written for having a magazine here on a belt carrier exposed. And I can't put it in the back pocket, which is the second most ideal position because my back pockets are sewn up for handgun mags. So it's there. And as you can see, it is almost totally gone. .396. I know that when I do this drill, when I do this standard, I know that the chances of me actually making the par are pretty slim because of where I have to carry my mags, and I'm cool with that because I'm out here for the skill. And the shot timer is what drives you. The shot timer is your buddy who's poking at you. This thing humbles people. I've seen grown men turn to jello when this thing comes out because you can't cheat this. You can't lie to this. This thing is 100% honest every single time. Man, I keep wanting to reach the mag like this instead of slapping at the bottom, dragging it up, then grabbing it. It's just a habit. It's a habit to grab a mag. I guess it's a good thing that I'm always accustomed to grabbing mags there. Oh, you know what? Hang on, before I clear it, let me show you. I created a double feed. I rammed the mag in so hard that the first round went and popped out of the top. Oh yeah, it's boogered up in there too. There you go. There's money there. There's money on the ground. Rifle in many ways is easier than handgun, and rifle in many ways is harder than handgun. .485. .485. It's that pocket mag. Oh well. You know what? For kicks and giggles, just to make sure that I haven't gotten completely rusty, I'm gonna tuck one. I'm gonna do one with the mag in the actual position where it would be drawn from, were in a mag holder. So right there. Right there, baby. Right there. .327. See the difference? .327. Yeah, so .327, that's 0.2 of a second off of the desired time of .325. So these standards truly were written for mags and mag holders. Let's move on. All right, on target. This is the stovepipe one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clear out the ammo. Place your casing. With rifle, stovepipes do generally look like that. Loaded mag, push, pull. Dead center, 286. .246. Oh, cool! I actually made the desired time of 260. I'm gonna tell you guys something. This one, the last one, on target, double feed, pull trigger, clear rifle, fire one shot. I'm gonna take that off. I think I'm removing that from the rifle drills. Those of you who downloaded the rifle drills from my website will attest to this. That particular drill constantly boogers up live ammo, because what ends up happening is, to create a double feed, I have to have an empty casing in the chamber. I then have to insert a live mag, or a mag with live ammo up into it, and then I have to release the bolt gently forward. What ends up happening is, the first step that is required, let me clear this out. The first step that's required for you to do this, so remember, it would be an empty, actually, you know, let me just show you. I'm going to show you, but with all honesty, I'm not going to destroy the ammo. What you do is you take an empty casing and you drop it into your upper with the weapon inverted, and you walk it into the chamber. So now, I'm not even going to bother showing the camera, it never picks it up. The casing is sitting inside the chamber. Now, the magazine with live ammo goes in, push, pull, grab the charging handle. I'm still so used to grabbing it this way. Grab the charging handle and gingerly walk that next round. I'll see if it gets it. The next round in there is now trying to get up into the chamber. But the problem is, there's one sitting in the chamber. Charging handle forward. This right here actually happens more often with rifles than it does with handguns. This one isn't all that bad because the magazine isn't freely falling out. There are several things that happen with this. Beep, dead trigger, that's your first clue. Tap, and I'm going to do this carefully because I don't want to booger anything up. As soon as I rack, as soon as I got to here, you notice the free air. So it grabs this, the charging handle, essentially the top, you're back here on the charging handle. The front portion of the charging handle is shaped like this, and the gas tube, the gas key, this rides along and grabs the gas key, and once it gets about here on the gas key, then it grabs the entire BCG and drags it to the rear. So this dead air is allowing for acceleration of the mass of everything going to the rear. This is force vector. All of a sudden, all of this mass has come to a screeching halt against the gas key. So now I'm damaging my gas key. The charging handle, you're not going to break a charging handle. A good charging handle like the BCM gunfighters, you're not going to break them. It's not about the charging handle, it's about potentially damaging gas keys. And I've done a lot of shooting and I've seen things work loose. Okay, so now I drag this to the rear and I let it go home. And if I let this go home with the force that it needs, I will end up taking that first round and taking that bullet and jamming it into the casing. So I go tap, rack. I realize that I've got this crap going on, so now I have to physically extract, which I'm not going to do, because, well, let me back this up first. Let me back that round up, and then I'll show you. Nope, 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 nope. Get in there. There we go. The reason I don't want to physically extract this out of here is this opens up your feed lips. We're dealing with supply chain issues now. Don't be hard on your equipment. So I don't want to potentially damage a bolt carrier group. I do not want to be damaging the feed lips for my magazines. I don't want to be boogering up rounds because what ends up happening is that first round that was in there, that is now loose. That round's ruined. So you end up either retaining this, and then bolt goes forward. When you extract the mag, the bolt would go forward, and then you would turn the weapon on its side and you would run the bolt. Casing comes out, mag goes in hard, push, pull, run the bolt, and then fire your round. The problem with that is it's never that clinically clean during the drill. You always end up sacrificing one round to damage. You are causing potential damage to the gas key and the mag feed lips. And with all honesty, I've run this drill and ended up with ruined round after ruined round after ruined round after ruined round, and I sit there and I look at this money laying on the ground and I go, I can't afford this. I don't get free ammo. I buy my ammo, just like you guys. You guys are welcome to keep that standard in there if you want, but honestly, that standard's out for me. I'm not doing it anymore. It's just that it's not worth all the sacrifice of all the different things that I'm potentially damaging and or throwing away just to get that one standard. So that one's out. So basically, we are now done. What time is it? 15:57. All right, I got to be heading home. All right. Thank you guys for coming out to this training session. I thank you guys for your sling purchases and for your donations that keep this channel alive, that keep fuel in the tank of my vehicle, that's helping me pay for this truck that I just bought recently. Oh, here. Let me tell you about my day. This morning, I ended up having to place a very expensive phone call to a company called Data Savers. Last night, my archive that stores all 800 plus gigs of videos that I have, all the videos here on YouTube, every one of those videos went into the limboverse because the terabyte drive that I have them archived on decided not to want to connect with my Mac. And I had a slow motion heart attack and then said to myself, woosah. Worked the problem, contacted a friend of mine who's an IT professional, and he said, this is who you need to call because when his company has issues that they can't deal with, think about that. When an IT professional company has issues that they can't deal with, they call data savers. Guess what my bill is going to be? It starts at $700. What did I just say a minute ago? I'm not a wealthy man. I'm driving a 12-year-old truck. But I said to my wife, that's my entire archive. I draw from those videos, as you guys know. I draw from those videos for B-roll, for other videos to prove a point, to prove a technique, to show something, to teach you something. I need those archives. And right now I can't get them, which is why I'm here on the range right now. So it's not altogether a bad thing. I got to just say, you know what? I can't work on video today like I planned, so I'm going to the range. So, like I said, the bill begins at $700 and could potentially reach, this could get potentially financially ugly. So I thank you for your sling purchases and your donations more than you will ever know. And I'm going to ask you, hey, would you please buy some slings and or make donations, because yay, now I got to pay some more money. Guys, this is the world we live in, isn't it? Life is a constant doink, doink, doink from the devil. That's what he does. He seeks to get us frustrated, and a few hours ago I was in a bit of a tizzy. So I'm a lot better now, thanks to my friend Graham, who has pointed me in the right direction and told me how to fix the problem. And I thank you guys for your continued support. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.